we are back. We are back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back and live on In My Own Words, the podcast, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Stephen M. Smith live here with you. Folks, 1 week before Christmas. We are 1 week away from Christmas. Hopefully, each and every last one of you taking this time to spend with friends, family members, loved ones. And if you can, not saying you have to, but if you can, checking out this edition of the podcast as I jump into the latest coaching hire made by the University of Alabama football program on last week. Nick Saban in taking the podium inside the Mel Moore Athletic Facility on last Friday, following the Crimson Tide's first camp practice in terms of getting prepared for the college football playoff semifinal game against Clemson on January 1st, the All-State Sugar Bowl. The coach that was named, or the coach that was hired, made official, was none other than University of Texas San Antonio defensive assistant Pete Golding. Pete Golding named the man by Nick Saban as the 10th position coach on the Alabama staff, replacing the departed Jeremy Pruitt, who has accepted the head coaching role for the Tennessee Volunteers and will leave Alabama upon the end of the college football playoff. So, getting into Pete Golding, and as I look at his resume, this man has a very sharp resume. We look at the last 2 years at UTSA, the Roadrunners, 2016 and this season. But looking at this season, what he did for that defense and bringing it up to par with the big boys in college football. We're talking about the Football Bowl subdivision. This is where the big guys play, the head honchos, the creme de la cremes. This is what Pete Golding, did. The Roadrunners in 2017 finished 7th nationally in total defense, giving up 288 yards a game. Finished 8th in scoring defense, allowing 17 points a contest. Finished 2nd nationally in first downs allowed, giving up 166 in that category. And finished 19th in pass efficiency defense, allowing a quarterback rating of 112.19. I think one of the reasons why Saban went with this hire, he loves having young, fiery, teachable, savvy recruiters, guys that can relate to players. Loves having those young, fiery coaches. If you look at all of the coordinators that have worked with Alabama under Nick Saban, and talking about Kirby Smart, Lane Kiffin, Jeremy Pruitt, Tosh Lapoy, Derek Ansley, all of these guys are either young or relatively young in relation to having that fire, being that savvy recruiter, that teachable coach, relating to players, and just wanting to know what makes this program tick, wanting to know how does Nick Saban continue to have this success each and every year, and not just wanting to know, but wanting to identify, wanting to be a part of it, and not just helping him and not just helping the program, but also creating your own name, creating your own brand, and soon getting yourself out there for a head coaching opportunity. When you look at Kirby Smart, started off 2007 as a grad assistant for the Crimson Tide, and then grew from being a GA to a defensive backs coach to a defensive coordinator, was with the Crimson Tide from 2007 to 2015, was a critical part of 4 Southeastern Conference championships, 4 national championships, a number of top-ranked recruiting classes, and when he parlays that into going to Georgia, and now in year 2, the number 2 overall seed in the college football playoff, and was the SEC's Coach of the Year. You move from that to Jeremy Pruitt, kind of the same deal. Comes to Alabama in 2007, does the whole director of player personnel thing from 2007 to 2009, then gets his opportunity to be an on-field coach in 2010 with defensive backs, does that from 2010 to 2012, and then goes to Florida State, and then heads off to Georgia before coming back to Alabama for his second stint, 2016, of course, this season. And now, upon the end of the college football playoff, Pruitt will take his talents to the Tennessee Volunteers. And then along with that, you've got Tosh LaPoy still on staff, Derek Ansley still on staff. Also, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, who had his issues, Tennessee Volunteers, Southern California Trojans, comes to Alabama in 2014. And despite what you think of him personally, contrary to popular beliefs, Kiffin did work. That offense did some great things under Kiffin from 2014 to 2016, including getting 3 Southeastern Conference championships, of course, the national title in the 2015 season. Kiffin now at Florida Atlantic and helped that program, the Owls, win a Conference USA championship. So we see here Nick Saban loves the young, fiery, savvy recruiters, teachable guys, coaches that can relate to these players, and most importantly, guys that hit the ground running upon getting the job. Pete Golding, excited. I'm excited for him because he brings that same sense of swagger. And his coaching career actually started at his alma mater, Delta State, in the Louisiana area. Golden, a Louisiana guy, played 4 years of college ball at Delta State from 2002 to 2005 as the starting safety, and then became a graduate assistant on staff at Delta State 2006. Once that ended, went to Tusculum College, spent 3 years there as a defensive coordinator and defensive back coach. After Tusculum College, he came back to Delta State in 2010 to be the defensive coordinator from 2010 to 2011. In 2010, he took Delta State, D2 school now, to the 2010 NCAA Division II national title game and also helped it win the Gulf Southern Conference title. Did some great things at Delta State. Following his career there, he goes to Southeastern Louisiana from 2012 to 2013, and during that time, he helped that program get 11 wins and its first conference title, which part of that Southern Conference since 1961. Pete Golding at Southern Louisiana, defensive back coach, also defensive coordinator. So at Delta State and Southern Louisiana, Golding did some big-time things, helping those programs not only get to national championship games, but also helping both institutions win a conference championship. From there, goes up to the FBS level to Southern Miss, helping the Golden Eagles in 2015 get to 9-5. They finished second in the Western Division of Conference USA. But Southern Miss the previous year, 2014, was 3-9. So to go from 3-9 2014 to 9-5 2015, an improvement by 6 wins. Huge job from Golding. And then from there, University of Texas San Antonio with the Roadrunners the last 2 years. I think another reason why I kind of enjoy this hire, or I do enjoy this hire from Saban, is that Golding, not necessarily a big name. When you think about somebody that would take over for defensive coordinator or at defensive coordinator, you would think of a big name, huge prospect that everybody knows. When you throw their name out there, he know him, Uncle Joe on the bike know him, everybody know him. Everybody is enamored with that name. For example, if Alabama was to have gone out there and hired Todd Grantham from Arizona State, Arizona State recently firing Todd Grantham, and they have to pay him a $12 million buyout. But if Alabama was to have hired Todd Grantham, everybody knows who Todd Grantham is. Grantham would instantly be the defensive coordinator. He's done it before at the big-time venues in college football, despite him being a little blitz-happy at times, just like Jeremy Pruitt. But I'm sure Alabama did not want to eat the bullet of paying that $12 million of having that $12 million buyout on its payroll, along with having to come up with a salary for Todd Grantham upon the buyout ending for him at Arizona State. So you can see why Nick Saban went with the move of Golding. Young coach, you pretty much get him for a clearance, don't have to pay him a lot, and he is here to build his own name. He is here to build his own brand in hopes to one day get a head coaching position. The main thing with him is he's going to be activated as a position coach as of January 9th, the day after the college football playoff championship game on January 8th, of course. So once he gets activated, the question will be, where would he be the best fit? Where would Nick Saban really put him on staff? Because the hiring of him almost does everything but say Tosh Lapoy will be the defensive coordinator next season. Lapoy, who has been at Alabama for 4 seasons, going back to 2014, defensive recruiting intern upstairs, the last 3 years, on-field assistant coach with outside linebackers. This season has the co-defensive coordinator title. Sound recruiter, has put players in the National Football League. Guys love being around Tosh Lapoy. So for Golding, it's, do you have him as an inside, do you have him as a linebackers coach, or do you have him as a defensive backs coach? Because he's done some defensive coordinator things, and I'm not saying Golding can't run a defense. That's not what I'm saying. This man's resume, 100% sharp. I am very impressed with this resume. But at the same time, I'm saying, though he's done some defensive coordinator things, the wealth of his knowledge comes as a defensive back coach. Played defensive back at Delta State, was a graduate assistant on that staff with defensive backs. Tusculum College, defensive backs on that end. When he came back to Delta State, was a defensive coordinator, but probably did some things with defensive backs. Southern Louisiana, defensive coordinator, but also DB's coach. Southern Miss worked primarily with safeties, and then despite being defensive coordinator for UTSA, did some things with defensive backs as well. So primarily at every stop Golding has been to, because of his knowledge of the secondary, seeing that he played 4 years, 2002 to 2005, as a starting safety, that's where the bulk of his wealth lies at, where knowledge is concerned. If you got drafted to the National Football League and you were on the defensive side of the ball, you played corner in college, you played safety in college, you played nickel in college, you played all of these positions in college, and these NFL scouts, these GMs, coaches, they love the diversity, they love the versatility, but once they draft you, they're looking for an ideal fit here. Once they draft you, if they draft you at corner, they want you to play corner. If they draft you at safety, they want you to play safety. If they draft you at nickel, they want you to play nickel. You see what I'm saying here? So from a coaching standpoint, despite the umbrella of defensive assistant being a very broad umbrella, because defensive coordinator, linebackers coach, defensive line coach, defensive back coach, they all fall under that umbrella of defensive assistant. But because of Golding's overall knowledge as a DB coach, he would fit better there. But then you look at Derek Ansley's already over there. And Derek Ansley, who has done a solid job, a strong job in recruiting, helping the Tide land Savion Smith, Nadab Joseph, and Josh Jobe for this 2018 class. And then he's also helped mold Levi Wallace into being a potential draft pick. Levi Wallace, 3 interceptions this season, sharing the team high. Do you really want to move Derek Ansley to a linebackers coach from being the DB coach? So, first and foremost, it all stems off what Tosh Lapointe wants to do here. Because with all defensive coordinators under Saban, when you look at Kirby Smart, Jeremy Pruitt, both guys worked with inside linebackers. Tosh Lapointe probably wants to stay with outside guys, and that's fine. That's his preference. If he chooses to do that, you can put Golding as an inside linebackers coach, or you could put Derek Ansley there. It just all depends on what Nick Saban wants to do in the process. Once again, Golding will be acclimated or activated to be a position coach, the 10th position coach for the Crimson Tide on January the 9th. Just comes down to where Nick Saban, where he feels like this young man would be the best fit. But once again, love this hire. Very sharp resume. Looking forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do in the future. We go to our next break here on In My Own Words, the podcast, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Upon our return, I'm throwing out 3 reasons why Alabama will win a national championship with Jalen Hurts. And I've seen the clutter. I've seen the naysayers. I've seen the negative going out on social media. Can he really throw? Is he really accurate? Can he really lead a team? I feel like, a lot of people are saying that this is not the best prospect we have as far as passing the football is concerned. Look, I'm throwing out 3 reasons why Alabama will win a national championship with Jalen Hurts. Check that out on the other side of the break. Show is also brought to you by the guys at Bama Sports Radio. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're coming back.